benefits of paying tax, you are separated from the one who is not paying. In some jurisdictions, it is used as an identification for people who are citizens of the nation. And so that if you are not a citizen, you cannot obtain a tax identification number. And so that it will help us to be able to know how much do we need to accumulate as a nation to help us in development.
Talking about if you're not a citizen, you can't get the tax identification number. It brings me back to who is eligible to getting that. I mean, is it, you know, right from birth, or you need to get to a certain age before you even say that, oh, I need that tax number? Like, at what point do you need that tax number?
Well, I think that currently everybody who is basically, if you have an ID, you can be able to obtain a tax ID number, because you need to provide some documents to be able to register for your tax ID number. And so that is what you need to have. And it's also because it helps you to be able to pay tax. If you are not eligible to pay tax, then it becomes quite difficult for you to obtain. And usually, when you are 18 years and you have to pay tax, then you have to be able to have that identification number. I'm not too sure if there's a caveat in terms of age. Regarding that from the GRA, but it's common sense that if you have to, once you are 18 years and you are supposed to have pay tax, then you can. And if you are employed, and because you are paying some money to the government, and there should be a record of your payment, then you should be able to have a tax ID number.
So somebody will say, we have a lot of identification cards. We have the passport, we have our SNIT, especially SNIT. Like, people are confusing. Okay, so I have a SNIT number. Why do I need the TIN number as well?
Well, it's not everybody who is obliged to have a SNIT number. For instance, some people pay voluntary to SNITs, those who are not on a regular, income earning scheme. So, for instance, if I'm a trader, I can decide that for SNIT is for pension. So, if I am a trader and I don't want to take SNIT, I can decide not to pay.
Not to pay.
Right, but because that one, then the laws may not frown on me. But if I am working for a company, then the law mandates that the company should be able to pay your SNIT for you, so that when you are not working, then you can get your pension. But as for tax, everybody must pay tax. And sometimes it is not even you yourself paying, but an organization withholding it for you, paying on your behalf.
Wow.
So, for instance, currently, if you are an employee, then your employer pays part of your tax for you from your payee. All right, so they pay you and they withhold your tax and then pay it to the government. All right, so you don't need necessarily to go do that. But because you have to file and get returns on how much you have paid, and then when you started paying, it is important that you have an ID number for that identification. Yeah. So
then I'm sure, I mean, over the years we've been operating and doing everything without the tax identification number. Why now? I mean, why have we taken it? Yes, you need it, else you can't do this. And later on, we'll talk about some of the things you cannot do if you don't have a tax identification number.
I think it's the right direction that everybody has a TIN number. It's good for planning. That's the first thing. But again, it also separates those who are not paying tax and those who are paying tax. See, in every economy, you would need to raise money to be able to build the economy. And you have to know who has to pay and who is paying and who is not paying. For instance, one of the advantages of paying tax as an organization, as an individual, is that if a company from overseas comes in, right, and they are operating on our land, and then we have not registered them, then we can be able to identify that I, who has a company here, who is a citizen of this nation, I am paying this. Before you can even obtain that, you should be able to have something to show that you're operating within the jurisdiction, right? So I think it gives an identity of who is operating and who is not operating, so that if you're operating, you don't have a TIN number, it means you're operating illegally. All right, and it is also good that now, even if you don't, and if you register a business every year, you need to renew your registration. If you don't have the TIN number, you can't renew. It means you are not even eligible to even operate.
But so how effective is this TIN number going to be? I mean, are we going to, in some 2 years to come, oh no, I don't want it, this government comes, is that what it's going to be, or is something that is going to, you're seeing it as something that is going to be with us forever?
It's a law, so if you want to change it, you need to change it. But I don't see how a government can change that concept, because everywhere that you go, you need to have a certain identity that shows that you are contributing to the progress of the nation that you are a citizen of. And so if my identity is that I pay tax every month or every 2 weeks, then something must show, all right? And I mean, for you to say that I'm a citizen and I have a certain sovereign right, you must lay claim to what you are, yes.
So there are certain things that if you don't have the TIN number, you cannot do, like opening a bank account, you know, filing a case and all of it. Let's talk about these things. For instance, I know that if you don't have a TIN number, you cannot file a case. And so if I don't have a TIN number and, you know, I have to file a case, it means I cannot file the case?
Well, I think these things are what the government is doing, because you look at things that everyday people are involved in. So that when you do that...
So it's deliberate?
Yes, basically. So that people would then, you know, every law, everything that you're going to start, there's a difficulty in changing. And so you need to make sure that you're using means where people would have to be part of. Right? So if I have a case and I want to go and file the case, and I know that if I don't have a TIN number, I cannot, I will go and register for that. Because you see, tax paying gives you some responsibility. It gives you some right as well. I don't know how many of us know that if I pay tax, I have some tax rebates.
Yeah, some benefits. I want you, we'll talk about the benefits of
if you're married, if you're married and you're taking care of your husband, you have some rebates.
Wow.
Yes.
A lot of us didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm married. But I mean, aside you not filing a case, you know, opening a bank account, what else can we? I know that you cannot also obtain a driver's license, which is, I think that is very, very serious. So even if you have a license and it has expired, that means you cannot renew the license. Yes.
So like I mentioned, I think what the government is trying to do is that we're looking at things that everyday people are indulge in, so that we tie this identity to, so that if you don't have it, you cannot benefit. I mean, what we are saying is that if we are in an economy where we are all contributing to the progress of it, and you don't want to be part, then you can't be part of the benefits. All right, and I think it is fair that, you know, it is only in developing countries that when there's taxation, there is always a challenge. Of course, if you're paying money, you always have a problem. But the payment is giving you some right. The reason why we are talking about roads and talking about housing is because we feel that we are paying money that is supposed to be used for some development that is not happening. And so the reason why these things are quite common, you are asking why are they tied to the TIN, is because so that if I am paying for the progress of the nation, then I can talk about it. All right, and these are everyday things: registering your car, filing a case at a court, registering a business. All right, exactly. If you undertaking a contract for the government and they are paying you, you don't have a TIN, then we cannot pay you. Of course, because there's a withholding tax aspect of it. If we don't know where you're going to, how you're going to take that money, how do we even associate that payment to your name? So I believe that these things, and maybe it will be expanded if people are not paying. You have to expand it to the more common things, right? Don't be surprised if you say that if you don't have a TIN number, you can't buy a trotro.
I don't think I'll be surprised.
Maybe.
But briefly, let me talk you through, you know, some of the things you cannot do if you don't have a TIN number. Maybe that will, you know, encourage you to get a TIN number. So you cannot file a case if you don't have a TIN number. Obtain driver's license. Obtain a passport. Open a bank account, which is, you know, that's for us, you know, bid for a contract, register your land documents, even at the lands, register your company, clearance from GRA. So this is just just a few, but then there are other things you cannot do if you don't have your tax identification number. But as a business, as, you know, an entrepreneur, why do I need a tax identification number?
So like I said, it's an identity. It identifies that this is what I am doing. You know, voluntary. Some organizations we have the corporate social responsibility that they undertake.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you need to make contribution to the country that you are resident in. Now, the government obtains some of these monies to be able to help our economies to grow. Roads and every infrastructure that we need. Government must obtain money to do that. And how do we know somebody's paying or not? How do we even differentiate a fictitious organization from the right one? Because you can't go and register a fictitious organization in the register at Register General, right? So it means that if you go there, it means that your documents are right. And if you don't have your TIN for us to associate your payment from, then it means that you are not part of the system. So I think for you as an organization, it identifies you. And I think, sometimes we complain and say there are a lot of businesses from that we have some of these Chinese and some foreigners taking over our companies now or our businesses. If I register my business as a citizen and I have my TIN number, and there are some criteria that I need to go through to be able to have the TIN number, and you are a foreigner and you cannot, because you don't have that right, because people come visit and they have 10 numbers, you cannot do that. But because if you cannot do that, it means that you cannot operate, right? Basically, it means you cannot operate. Yeah. So I think what the tax number help us to do is to identify us as taxpayers and separate us from the fictitious businesses and organizations that we see around almost every day. But
you were saying earlier, you were talking about benefits that you get from paying tax.
Yes.
Briefly, talk us through these benefits.
Yeah, there are a few of them. So, for instance, if you have 3 kids, you're eligible. So, as the last check, if you have a husband and you take care of your husband,
when you say I take care of my husband, I say my husband is not working or my husband
maybe
is
your husband
sick.
is not working,
okay,
or sick or something, and you are taking care of. You have
and I pay
rebate,
tax.
Yes, you have a rebate of about 200 Ghana cedis every month. Yeah, and if you have kids that are going to school, then you can also have. If you have 3 kids, what it is that you cannot take the same benefits as your husband or your spouse,
right?
But you can have that rebate for every child. All right, and then if you are disabled, there are also some rebate that you can also get from how much you pay. I think it's about 25% of your remuneration that you get. You are supposed to get as rebate or as tax incentive. Yeah.
But it looks like a lot of people don't know this. So I've been paying tax and all, so I don't know this. So that means that rebate or that money I'm supposed to get, where does it go to? That means if you don't know, then you need
to claim
you've lost on it.
You need to claim your right. I think that some of these things, as you keep on paying, people will begin to be aware of. I always say that, for instance, if you don't have a license and you're driving, maybe a policeman will not arrest you. But the day you knock somebody down, you will know that it's important for you to have a license. So people are not, because most people are not even paying the tax. So people are not even checking what are the benefits I will get if I pay the tax. But there are a lot of benefits that you get if you pay tax. Yes.
There are a lot of benefits you get if you pay tax. That's what Henry is saying. And yes, I believe it. I'm sure I'll be claiming some benefits very soon. But thank you so much for coming. I know we've learned a lot, and we've realized that it's very important to have your tax identification number at least it identifies you as a business. And I hear you have an entrepreneurship seminar coming up. Yeah, for all my entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, what we call a hangout cocktail.
Okay.
So you mentioned funding as one of the challenges, and we've noticed, Ghana is gradually turning to be a hub of entrepreneurs, and Africa is the same way. If you look at most of the investors that we have, they're moving towards Africa. Why? Because there are a lot of businesses growing out of this place. And what we want to do is to engage our entrepreneurs in how to raise funding and grants for your businesses. And it's on Friday in the evening at 5:30 at Tentmaker Hub in Ashoman.
Friday?
Yes, Friday evening.
Okay.
It's evening, so it's a hangout.
Work. It's a hangout.
Right, it's a hangout. So come network, come listen to people who have raised money. Our speakers are people who have raised money from overseas and within. They can show us how to raise funding and some grant for our businesses.
We'll definitely be there on Friday. Thank you so much, Henry. And thanks to you for watching. It has been great, and I've learned a lot about tax identification number. And you need it. It is very important. At least you need to identify yourself. Well, up next, King is coming with that cryptocurrency discussion. How do you secure and how do you buy that cryptocurrency? Yes, that is live on GMG Plus. We're not gone yet. We're still live right here. My name is Jackie. Don't go.